All right, welcome back. Impromptu. I am the host. I should not have been the host, but I'm the host. Carl, I don't want to disappoint you. Okay. But we're back doing the March Madness bracket, the Vendetta bracket, the famous one where we all collaborate, we all pick on teams, and we all figure out who is going to be our champion for Vendetta. Last year we had four even guys. I think we had the same group actually last year. Uh, and Matt Hannafin had to flip a coin, and he got heads. I think like 10 times in a row. It was that was
I
last year,
forgot
wasn't it?
about that.
I know. I remembered. Do we have a coin this year? Because we do have an even amount, unless we want to change the parameter. Oh, Matt Hannafin's got the coin. We're good. Anyway, it's March Madness here at Vendetta. This is probably the most I've watched college basketball this year. What about you guys? How are we feeling this March Madness?
Good.
Just
I
good.
I've watched a lick of college basketball. I didn't watch any of the tournaments, so we're gonna fly by the seat of our pants here.
You're just going based off your nuggets.
Just
Love it.
vibes, really.
Well, Garrett, before I really started watching college basketball, the very little that I do, I used to just pick from my nuggets, and sometimes I would do better than you, and you used to watch more than me. So
That's how you
sometimes
win. You don't need to watch college basketball to succeed in this.
you just gotta look
This
at it,
time
and
of
you're
year,
like,
no.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you know,
I tried to
we
watch throughout the season and stuff, and I was watching some of the conference tournaments, but I feel like the more research I do, the more I corner myself, and then the upset doesn't happen, and then like I just hate myself for it
I
after.
and that's the bad thing when you're just like, man, I don't know why I really like this team, and you pick them to go to like the Elite Eight, and then they lose in the first round. You're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
And then
Right.
I don't know why, but year after year, I always say, yeah, I'm gonna watch more college basketball, and then I just don't, and I hate myself when it comes to this time. And then I'm like, all right, next year is my year. I sound like a Cowboys fan, you know what I mean? Next year is gonna be the year that I'm gonna actually do it. You know what I mean? Anyway, these usually kind of go a little bit longer, so we're gonna try to go through it. The first round is always the longest because we always talk about most of the teams, and then after that we kind of fly through it with the picks. So round to 64, are we ready?
Yep.
All right, let's get into it. Auburn versus Alabama State. Is anyone picking Alabama State?
Can we just go one seeds for all of them? Like we could just skip that part.
yeah.
Yeah, that works.
I guess
Also,
no crazy ones to this year.
Alabama
Huh?
State was down when I left work. I didn't know, so they ended up
Yeah,
coming back
technically
and
Yeah,
just
they
winning.
won.
finished. They came back and won.
They
Oh,
came back one,
nice.
which that's a good note is that not all of the first four teams have played for us yet. So, but we kind of wanted to just put this out there. Is anyone really super confident about a first four team going like the Sweet 16 or some shit? Maybe.
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Not yeah,
Cool.
not really.
All right. Louisville versus Creighton. Does anyone have anything? Because I have opinions.
Well, what's yours?
Louisville's okay. Louisville's good. I like Louisville. I think they're good. But Creighton is always tried and true in March. And Garrett's pulling up the stuff for that. That's the betting stuff? But right there you have Cal Brenner, which has been a proven. That guy could have probably been in the NFL draft, or not the NFL, the NBA draft. The last
NFL
7-foot
draft.
guy in the NFL draft.
guys, I'm so worried about the Raiders picking that I've been thinking about the NFL, and like I've seen Ashton Genty all in my dreams, and really they're nightmares. But
Go grab Ryan Kalkbrenner. He can be like your running back, maybe.
yeah, he could be a tight
He doesn't
end.
move
because
like
we
a
just
running
need
back.
more tight ends,
He's
right?
big enough.
But Louisville, I mean, they're good. They're kind of just there. You know what I mean? They're so where I feel like Creighton has been tried and true. I don't know why in March they're always good for a couple games. And I have Creighton at least winning the first round. We have any picks? What we got?
I was definitely. I'm not super huge into the whole ACC hate. Like the Louisville and Clemson are kind of super overrated because they played in an entire like the ACC was super weak this year and all that. But even with that, I do think I would probably lean Creighton, who tends to I think has a pretty good record. That head coach right now with Creighton in the tournament. I know they won one last year. And then I know they beat Oregon too, but I same thing. I think the best player on the court is probably Kalkbrenner, and I'm gonna go lean that way.
Carl, do you want to host this, man? Because this is your bread and butter.
No,
I
Chickster
was in the
can
middle of
host.
That
I was
was
in the
rude.
middle of doing some
Personally.
other stuff. I just wanted to make sure you guys weren't making any awful decisions.
Well, I'm
It's
in
early.
here, so
It's
you know
early.
what's going to happen, Carl. You know it's about to happen. So, well, where do you got on this one, Louisville and Creighton?
So yeah, I actually just wrapped up making a video about this. So a lot of people really like Louisville in this one because it's an hour away from their campus. It's in Lexington. That shouldn't really sway you one way or the other. Like historically, travel doesn't have as big of an impact as a lot of people think. This one's tough. It's kind of it's brutal that it's the very first game of the tournament because 50% of people will be done after this one. But I don't know. Creighton's a team that I like a lot. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a defensive anchor down low. There's just not a whole lot that Louisville has in the front court that's going to be able to match up with that. They will have their sharpshooter back, Smith, so that'll make a big difference. I think a lot of this game will be won or lost on the perimeter. Good matchup in this one. Chucky Hepburn for Louisville, who's like a really good two-way guard. He's going to be tasked with locking down Stephen Ashworth, who's like a big part of what Creighton wants to do offensively. And if he's able to do that, then I think I'd give Louisville like maybe the slight edge. But I also really like what Greg McDermott does at Creighton, so I might just pick them anyway. I don't know.
My reasoning was Creighton's tried and true in March. They're always good. They're usually good for like a game or two. And so I pick Creighton. So
yeah, that's fair. They have some experienced pieces for sure, and it is year one for Pat Kelsey at Louisville, so that could play a role.
Does anybody have any objections for Louisville, or we're going Creighton?
I would probably lean Creighton, but I don't feel good about it. Shouldn't have Louisville been like a 6 seed? Like, wasn't that like a thing?
They're seeding for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get more than seeding when we get to UNC, right? This one's a very popular pick, which I went with the kind of general consensus, and I took UC San Diego. UC San Diego and UC Irvine were pretty good in this conference, whichever the conference is called that Big I forgot. West. Yeah. See, look at y'all. Y'all know that shit. Okay, but I pick UC San Diego. I don't think Michigan is that good. That's just I don't know. Like people, like you would see them play really good games, and then other times, like they wouldn't play that well. That Maryland game, they barely won, which was just a defensive breakdown. Sorry, Carl. And then, I mean, it was but I don't think Michigan's all that good. In my, I don't know. Even if they're playing better right now in March, I don't think they're that good. And I'm gonna go UC Irvine, UC San Diego, just because it's kind of popular right now. But 12-5, usually there's a good chance that's gonna happen. That's one of the money picks for upsets is 6-11 and 12-5.
It's so popular that it actually makes me want to go against it. Like that's kind of like
you're like anti. You know what I mean? It's like you're like double negative PIM-DOS evens out.
It feels like there's at least like one team every year that's like as soon as the bracket comes out, whether it's like a 11 seed or a 12 seed or a 13 seed, that's like, yeah, that team's absolutely going to upset,
I think another popular pick is McNeese over Clemson, that's another one I have. But I like Will Wade at McNeese too, though. Yeah. He's really good.
I mean, they were popular last year too, and then that didn't happen.
And it did. So
yeah, like it just feels like the team that's the super popular underdog, like they just don't come through. Not to say that UC San Diego can't, but I think the big difference for me here is the size discrepancy from Michigan and UC San Diego. Like Michigan, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden are like mismatch problems for them. And I know UC San Diego forces a shit ton of turnovers, and that will be like a big X factor in this. But like, I don't know if that's enough to.
Well, UC San Diego shoots the three well. They're really they like to shoot half of their shots from three most of the time. So, I mean, the size discrepancy will hurt them on defense, but I think it might work for them offensively as well. So
that could be a curse though if a team primarily shoots the 3-point. Like all it takes is one bad game, like a bad cold snap from some of your star players,
and that's true too.
That whole game's over, then your season's over.
But it's March.
That is
you
true.
Never know.
I don't know. I like it. UCSD was going to be one that was probably going to be one of my upset picks, regardless of exactly who they got matched up with. I'm worried about Michigan winning the tournament and being a little hot right now, but I think for the most part of the year they were pretty inconsistent.
Yeah.
And when it comes to picking upsets, if it UCSD, like you said, Chickster, they do shoot a lot of threes, but they also shoot them pretty efficiently for the most
Oh,
part.
they do.
They create turnovers. I mean, I think that's kind of the bread and butter for one. Michigan has a problem with turning the ball over. I am worried about the size as well, but I still think I'm going to take their turnovers. Also, UCSD is like 36 or 38 or something in KenPom rankings.
Yeah.
So, which is pretty crazy for a mid-major and stuff. So I like them. And I think the bracket suits up well, too, from kind of after this for another Sweet 16 trip, too, if they can get past Michigan.
Yeah.
So I got UC San Diego. Well, is Hannafan going Michigan here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Anthony sounds like going San Diego.
I'm taking San Diego as well.
Okay. Carl, nothing. We're good. Hit everything.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. You guys kind of hit it. I mean, it's really just about what you prioritize more in this one because Michigan's ball security is a major issue. And that's a matchup that UC San Diego is going to be really good at kind of taking advantage of. They're, I think, second in the nation in turnover margin. They have this kid, Hayden Gray, who's averaging like 3.5 steals per game. He's just a problem. But yeah, the too big issue is a real one for UC San Diego. Like, I just don't know what their matchup plan is for Wolf and Golden. But if there's going to be a mid-major to pick, like UC San Diego's been a historically dominant mid-major, like 30 wins, top 40 in KenPom, like Miranda said. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just about what you prioritize more in this one. So,
the next matchup we have Texas A&M and Yale. Texas A&M, really athletic team, very stale offensive teams at times. This is also one where I picked an upset. Yeah, I think Yale plays really smart basketball. You know, I guess being a Ivy League school, that kind of helps. You know, being smart. I guess that translates to basketball sometimes. But I mean, Texas A&M, it just looks like sometimes they don't even like playing with each other. That sometimes they're just going, we're just going to keep passing the ball around and, you know, play dribble drive and hopefully something opens up. I feel like their offense can be stagnant at times. Their defense can be so. I don't know. I pick Yale for this too. Sometimes, you know, I pick one upset and then the next one I just kind of get like, you know, I need more, and so I picked Yale right after this. So I went 12-13 for a round of 32 matchup.
I would pick Yale if we picked Michigan, so Danny Wolf could go against his own team. Like, that feels like such a narrative thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't. So I don't love Texas A&M either. I'd still probably lean Yale, but I don't feel as good about it.
I took Yale for, I mean, a lot of the reasons you just explained. I do think they play a good, pretty clean basketball. I just think Texas A&M is so inefficient in their games, scoring the ball, and so I could see that causing problems. And then everything I've seen on that John Politicus dude is he's an absolute bucket. So I think if it's coming down to one game and Texas A&M has a knack for being inefficient at times, I could see Yale prevailing. And they just knocked off Auburn last year too. So
yeah,
I think their head coach is James Jones or something, I think. But I mean, they got some pedigree when it comes to winning games in March and especially pulling off some upsets. So
no objections so far. We're doing good. We're even winning the approval of Carl. I feel like Carl would check me real quick if I said anything wrong. So I'm good right now. We're good. It was only 3 games though. Like, so don't get too fucking excited.
Way early.
Okay. Before we talk about Ole Miss and the winner of San Diego State and UNC, which plays tonight at 8:10. So they're playing right now, or 9:10 Eastern rather. UNC did not deserve to be in. We can all agree to that, right? I mean, whenever the head of the selection committee is the AD at UNC, he wasn't in the room. Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure the room had glass doors, and he's looking at him and he's holding a sign that says, "Please put him in, and I'll take care of you." Like, there's no reason UNC should have been in. They were what, 1-12 in quad one games. West Virginia, I guess, out of all the brachiologists, that there's 111 of them. 111 put West Virginia in. I mean, they got snubbed. UNC was in for what reason? I don't know. So is anyone really going to go for UNC today against San Diego State? I don't, other than UNC fans, I don't see anyone. I feel like it's just like a stick it to the man to go against UNC right now, because that was some bullshit. They didn't even deserve to be in the first four. I mean, does anyone have any thoughts about that? Because that shit was horrible.
I think they beat San Diego State.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
I
not
think so
rooting
too.
for North Carolina, but I think they beat San Diego State.
I think
Yeah.
I think doesn't San Diego State, one of their forwards is injured, or one of their big men? I don't remember if he got ruled out exactly. for
Guath
this
is
game.
back.
Okay, he is back. Okay.
Yeah, he's back. But I still don't love San Diego State.
No, I'm not rooting for UNC. UNC probably could win.
Yeah.
Especially they've been playing better now than they were earlier, but I don't know. Even though the first four, this one matchup hasn't had, I picked Ole Miss anyway.
Yeah.
Chris Beard is usually pretty reliable as a coach to do okay. Although there is, stats and metrics that, hey, teams that play in the first four usually win another one. So, and that could be the other 11 matchup with Xavier in Texas, which I think one team's a lot better than the other in that matchup. But I picked Ole Miss. If someone says, hey, if San Diego State or UNC, I don't care. I like them better than Ole Miss here. We can go either way here. Thoughts on this matchup, this potential matchup against Ole Miss?
I think there's a chance I might go UNC if they do win tonight, but I'm fine. I am no strong feelings. I'm fine going Ole Miss.
Is there I don't want to say the quiet thing out loud, but is there some nobody believes in us with UNC?
Maybe.
I definitely don't think it hurts.
I guess now they saw all the the hate online about how they didn't deserve to be in, and then they got in anyway, and so they're like, all right, fuck you guys, we're gonna go win.
That was going to be the only thing that I would say about potentially picking UNC if they were to win this first four matchup, is that all the noise in the public is like, this team didn't deserve to be in. All that's going to do is fuel that team, right? Yeah. That's going to be bulletin board material in the locker room. Like kind of what Chickster was saying was like, hey, y'all don't think we deserve to be here. Fuck y'all. We're going to show you that we deserve to be here.
Well,
it's either going to be that, or it's going to be like what happened to Virginia last year, where they just get shit pumped.
I don't think they should have been in since January, February. That shit was 1-12 in quad one games. That kind of tells the whole story. Is hey, especially when other teams have a better record in quad one games, it doesn't really help your case.
It's what happens also when you go 15-1 in quad 2 and 3, and you half of your quad 1 games are against top 10 teams, because that's something that did happen, or it was either top 10 or top 15. Not trying to defend North Carolina, but that's what happens. That's why I think some of the rationalization behind it, outside of the AD being on the commissioner, but
with the glass window looking at them,
they had good metrics, and they had a really good non-conference strength of schedule. It's just, my only argument is at some point you have to actually win those games. You can't just you can't just get credit for playing teams that are better than you. That just doesn't really track with me. I do think things kind of have set up well. If UNC got put, I think, in a pretty good situation if they were to go on a run in the pod that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And there is kind of a precedent for this. A few years ago, I think it was Hunter Dickinson's sophomore year at Michigan, where that was a team that kind of snuck in. Nobody really thought they were getting into the tournament. And then I think they played Colorado State in the first round, beat them, won their second game against Tennessee, I want to say. And then they were in the Sweet 16 when everyone was like, you guys don't even deserve to be in the tournament in the first place.
Yeah. So does it sound like y'all want to go UNC here?
No.
No, we're not going UNC.
I don't want to go UNC, but
all right, Garrett, do you have UNC?
I would probably take Ole Miss.
Okay, Ole Miss. Anthony, Brandon,
I'll go Ole Miss then as
Ole
well.
Miss. I'm going Ole Miss, so that's 3-2 at least. So, all right, UNC, fuck you. Sorry. Iowa State and it sounds like this would be easy to say, but I feel like I'll still fuck Lipscomb.
Lipscomb.
Yeah, see, I fucked it up anyway. So the lips, okay,
The lips is crazy.
the lips, right?
Can we just call them the Bison or the Bisons?
Well, are they the Bisons? Oh yeah, right there. If I could read, yeah, the Bisons. This is becoming a little bit more of a trendy pick. It doesn't help that Iowa State lost probably their second best player in Keyshawn Gilbert. He's now out for the season. I told Carl, and Carl said, yeah, it's not a bad pick, which made me feel good about myself that I liked Iowa State earlier in the season. But then, Keyshawn Gilbert got hurt, and obviously that hurts their chances of I do have them winning this game, but I don't think they're going to go very far without Keyshawn Gilbert being out. But this Iowa State team has also faced injuries all season long, and they've, still kind of maintained the course. So it really needs to show how much missing Keyshawn Gilbert's going to hurt them. But I have Iowa State in this one.
I struggle with this one as well for that missing Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're down the stretch. So over their last 14 games, Iowa State has had a few injury issues. They've had guys in and out of the rotation. They went 7-7, which obviously isn't that inspiring. It was in the Big 12, but nonetheless, like when this team's fully healthy, I think they could win a national title if they were fully healthy, but they're not.
For sure.
So that's kind of the tough thing. The longer I look at this game with Lipscomb, the more I kind of like Lipscomb. I still think I'd pick Iowa State because I'm a big believer in Otzelberger. I think he's a fantastic coach, and just they still have a ton of pieces even without Gilbert. The thing with Lipscomb, they're super experienced. They have a really good offense, and they have this guy Oknasevich who's like a 6'8" wing type of guy who can take over a game. I think he averaged like 20 and 9 or something like that. Yeah, there you go. So he's a stud. Pruitt's also really good. You see him there. I didn't see what the spread in this game was. I think it's like, what is it?
14 and a half.
Damn.
Oh, I'm
I think
taking.
Lipscomb covers, bro.
I
really
think this
do.
is yeah. I haven't bet spreads yet. I probably should, but I haven't yet. This would be one that I would take.
The one thing with Lipscomb that like worries me a little bit is they're coming out of the A-Sun, and the A-Sun like famously does not play a lick of defense. There's like 0 good defenses in that conference. And so like usually when you see these A-Sun teams get to the tournament, they just get blasted. Like they all have good offenses, but they can't stop anybody.
And against a team like Iowa State, that could be a problem.
Then they're a balanced team all around. Yeah.
Yeah. Iowa State will fly around the floor. Like,
I'll definitely.
Iowa State. Who else? Who we got?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll definitely have to start looking at this matchup a little more. I'm not a big fan of taking upsets of 1, 2s, and 3s, which is my fault because it does happen, at least once a year or stuff. But I was still going Iowa State, but I definitely take a peek at this a little bit more.
Garrett, I think you had the Bisons, no?
In the bracket that we submitted, I took Lipscomb.
Okay. So we got, how many we got? We got 2,
It's
3,
2-1, I think.
2-1. All right.
I'd probably go Iowa State.
So
Iowa State. Okay, let's go Iowa State here on this one then. Marquette and UNM. New Mexico has played really well this year. Marquette with Shaka Smart, usually a decent team in March. There's always been criticisms about Shaka Smart, at least in the tournament. How far does he usually go? I feel like he's done better as time goes on. His glory days was when he was with VCU, and he did really well there. And then went to Texas, went to Marquette. I think Marquette's probably the perfect spot for him in the Big East. I kind of just took Garrett's saying on this, and he said if the Lobos are in, I'm just going to go with the Lobos.
I can't help myself. I'll always take New Mexico.
I don't.
Are we really making the same mistake 2 years in a row?
Yes, we are.
might.
At least I am.
Are we making the same mistake 2 years in a row?
We might. I mean, at least they didn't put 10 Mountain West teams in there, and we had to, pretend they had a.
They have 4 of them.
They did. If anything, I'm picking.
They showed no love on the
Mexico
seeds
because
last year.
Their jerseys are fire. The teal ones, oh, I love those. Those are beautiful jerseys. Marquette though, and in the Big East, they fared well. I think they've actually struggled a little bit down the stretch in March, but Shaka Smart's a good coach. I do like Shaka Smart, but I went with New Mexico on this one.
I was leaning. I mean, I love the matchup here between Cam Jones and Donovan Dent. I do think Cam Jones. I was big on Marquette last year, obviously with Tyler Kolek. I loved Osoyo Gadaro, and I was a huge Cam Jones fan. And I think he's the best player on the court in this game. So I'm tempted to stick with Marquette for that reason. But I think this one should be a pretty fun, competitive shootout a little bit. I think I will say, like you said, Marquette hasn't been doing the best recently. New Mexico had a quick exit in their conference tournament too, and I think they dropped a couple in their last week as well. So I mean, neither of these teams are the hottest, but I'm gonna take the best player, and I do like Shaka Smart as well, even though he's got a hit or miss record.
So let's just call it 1-on-1. We'll say Miranda's going Marquette here, so we'll go 1-on-1. What do we got?
I'm going Marquette.
Marquette. Gary, you going Lobos?
Yep.
2-2. All right, Carl, please break it for us before we have to bring out Matt Handefen's quarter.
Marquette here.
Marquette. Shaka Smart.
Yeah. I swore off the Mountain West after last season, so.
We should have learned this shit 5 years ago, but we just continue to do it every year.
You talked a big game for us, Handefen.
I tried to, but it didn't work. It failed miserably, so I'm not doing it again.
You're the Mountain West biggest supporter, and they let you down.
Every year. Every year.
Nevada had a 99% chance to win that game with like 2 minutes left.
Right.
That was tough.
What are we talking about?
That was horrible.
Goddamn Dayton. Pieces of shit.
Here's what I will say. It is an absolute travesty that Donovan Dent didn't make the Kuzi finalists or like the final 10 or whatever. That dude's an absolute stud, and for him to not make that list is absolutely ridiculous. But other than that, that's all I got.
That's tough. Tom Izzo in March is what I'm going with. I'm going Michigan State here against a 15 seed in Bryant, who I know nothing about. But I know Tom Izzo in March is usually good for a win or two. So I went Michigan State. They do have a deeper rotation. It feels like any of those guys can contribute any night. They have a solid rotation of just production that usually nothing ever fails. So if one guy is having an off night, someone else usually picks up the slack. Michigan State's defense is really well. Tom Izzo's always been a good coach. It feels like they have a little bit more talent this year, or at least guys that are a little bit more experienced in his system. I went with Michigan State. Any objections?
I'm going Michigan State as well.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I'm going Michigan State.
Do you not like Michigan State?
I hate this Michigan State team, dude. I hate watching them. I hate everything about them. Their front court is so freaking annoying. It's just this like rotation of goons that they throw out there. They're not even that good at basketball. They're just like big, and that's kind of it. Jace is a stud, though. I do like watching Jace Richardson.
My only fact was going to be about Jace Richardson is that he was born in Denver, Colorado. That's all I got.
Son of Jason Richardson.
There you go.
Hooper.
Yeah, he rocks. I've come around on him a lot over the course of the season. Other than that, I mean, they're so good defensively, and they're just like really irritating to play.
Before we pick UConn and Oklahoma, Carl, I'd love to pick your brain about this because Garrett asked me a question, and at first, initially, I was like, I don't know why you're asking me. I don't know shit about college basketball. But he was like, hey, UConn went back-to-back championship. What kind of happened to them this year? What I said was, I don't know if they have as much talent as they had in years past. Dan Hurley might be feeling himself a little bit too much. Do you have any insight on why maybe UConn's not the UConn that, the past 2 years?
I mean, it's kind of what you said. It's a massive step down in talent on this roster from the last 2 years. Like you think about all the NBA players that they've sent out over the last couple of years, and you have guys like Tristan Newton, Donovan Clingan, Cam Spencer, Jordan Hawkins, Adama Sanogo. Like they don't really. I mean, outside of Liam McNeely and I guess Alex Caravan as well. Like they don't really have. They don't have a difference maker in the front court. Like Samson Johnson is experienced, but he fouls too much. He's just like really not that great of a big, especially when you compare him to the last two guys they had. And the guard play overall is just like fine. Like they don't have a Tristan Newton this year. They have a Sandiara who again is experienced, but he's not like a ceiling raiser. I think Solomon Ball's pretty good. I think he's gotten better over the course of the season. But he's not like at that level yet where I'd really call him like a big time difference maker to the degree that a guy like a Spencer or a Hawkins was. So yeah, they're just much less experienced or much less talented than they've been the last couple of years.
With that being said, I do like good coaches. Even though Dan Hurley, I feel like he's been kind of a little bit extra this year for whatever reason. But I still went with UConn here. We saw Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears is probably going to be the best player on the court, but I'm still gonna go UConn here. I think at least it's a tough draw for them to get Florida in the second matchup, either UConn or Oklahoma. But I still went UConn here. I think Dan Hurley has enough coaching prowess to at least get them over Oklahoma.
They are going to attack Jeremiah relentlessly.
Yeah,
like they are going to go after him like every possession, because that's just what UConn does. Yeah, I'm rocking with UConn in this. Porter Moser's a good coach too. Like he's had some NCAA tournament runs when he was at Loyola Chicago. But
it's kind of wild. Because I'm pulling up the preview on every single game so far. I have never seen a team play so poorly in conference like Oklahoma has this year. I know the SEC is loaded, but I think I saw that they were like 6-12 in conference this year. That is brutal.
Well,
even in the SEC though.
And then
some of their losses, they like the losses to Alabama and Kentucky and Tennessee. Like those weren't close games. Like a lot of those games that we saw and there were blowouts.
Yeah, and a lot of people are mad about 13 or 14 SEC teams in the tournament this year, but could it just be the SEC was actually really good this year? I mean, I know that's a big discrepancy between the other conferences, but I mean,
yeah,
it seemed like the SEC was really good this year, like to the point where I don't think any other conference was kind of that competitive as far as the SEC is.
It was a war every night.
Yeah. So
that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, the real place that it stems from is really non-conference play, where the SEC just completely dominated everybody.
Right.
Once you get into conference play, it's like, yeah, like there's going to be teams that only win 7 games. But when you look at the teams that they played outside of the SEC, like they cleaned up.
Yeah, they killed them. So, Memphis and Colorado State. I have no idea. I haven't watched enough of either of these two teams. Memphis, as Garrett shows us, is 29-5. Colorado State's 25-9. In my bracket, I did pick Memphis to win this game. However, some people are talking Colorado State over Memphis. I really don't know enough about either of these two teams to have a formidable opinion. Does anyone have any insight?
I don't trust Memphis at all. Like whenever I watch them, they're either playing down to teams or like they're facing a team and like, I was like, I think this may be a close game, and they just kick the shit out of them. Like I never have like a good feel for Memphis. Colorado State ended the season on a 10-game win streak, and they won the Mountain West tournament. Like that's the reason why they got in. They weren't going to make it otherwise.
So we're doing
Nick Clifford is a fucking baller. I think probably I want to say he made All-American as an honorable mention, but like Nick Clifford's a fucking baller. But I still would lean Memphis. But I don't have a good feel for them like at all, and I haven't all season.
So you're riding with Colorado State. You gotta stay with the Mountain West guys.
Yeah.
Can I? After last year, how can I? How could I?
Because that's what you do. It's the same reason why you're a Heat fan right now.
That's fair. All right, fine. I'll pick Colorado State.
There you go. I got you.
You
Okay.
gaslighted me into doing it.
I started with Memphis, but I think I do like the upset potential here with Colorado State. Exactly what Matt said. Nick Clifford's an absolute superstar. Like he said, they've also been playing really well, and I think there's a stat floating out around there. Like if you take the last 10 games, like on Ken Palm, they're like the third best team statistically in the last 10 games. So I just think there could be like one of the hottest teams rolling into the tournament. I think Tyrese Hunter is out for Memphis, I believe, but I am worried about PJ Haggerty can win a game for you though if it's just one game. But on the flip side, so can Nick Clifford. So I think I'm still gonna go with Colorado State though.
Being hot in March going into the NCAA tournament can be really good for you. Garrett, what do you? We have 2-1 Colorado State.
I'm gonna take the Rams. Like you guys were saying, it pays to be hot in March, and coming into this, I was probably gonna lead Memphis, but knowing that Colorado State won their last 10 and won their conference, that's momentum you can't argue. So
we're going Colorado State, but Carl, I would love to see where you're going on this one.
Well, here's what I'll say on like the being hot in March point. I feel like that's sort of a little bit of a misconception because, like, I mean, teams like 2021 Georgetown, 2022 Iowa, 2022 Virginia Tech would all beg to differ. I think those were teams that got really hot at the end of the season and then lost their first game in the tournament.
I was doing so well not to say anything fucking stupid, and then there I go. We
I think it is something to look at. Like Colorado State has been playing markedly better over the last like stretch of the season than they were prior, and so it does seem like they've legitimately figured something out because it is a good team and like Medved's a really good coach. Yeah, I don't really know. This is a weird one because it's more of a 7-10 type of game than a 5-12 to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And Memphis is like they are very tough to get a read on. They often are once the tournament rolls around. So
it's whichever Memphis team shows up, basically. So
yeah, I mean the Tyrese, we don't know if we'll be playing. To be determined. It's an important piece. Haggerty and Danger are enough for Memphis, I think, but I do kind of like. I don't know. This is one that I've gone back and forth on a million times. So,
all right, everyone, shut the fuck up. Carl, you can talk about Maryland. Go ahead. This is your time. This is Carl's baby right here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the draw here. Grand Canyon was expected to be a lot better than they ended up being. Credit to them for getting here because I think they were always supposed to be here. I just don't think Grand Canyon's really going to be able to handle Maryland's bigs. It's similar to kind of the way Michigan is structured, where we have the skilled big in Derek Queen and the power big in Julian Reese, and there's just very few teams that are able to match up with that and slow down both of them. And then when it comes to guard play, I mean, our starting five, like the Crab Five, is elite. Like it's one of the best starting fives in the country. Depth is sort of an issue, but when you're talking about this one game, like I really don't think that'll make that much of a difference. I do like Grant Foster for Grand Canyon, but I like Maryland to take care of business here.
Yeah. Well, Derek Queen, he might be a future Spur, so I got to go with Maryland on this one.
Okay.
All right, my bad. My bad. So I'm going Maryland. Is everyone picking the Fighting Carl Heisers? Or is
I'd probably go Maryland
against Carl.
I'm going Maryland.
Against Carl.
Probably.
Dang.
Oh, where am I? There we go.
Who's picking against Carl? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri and Drake. Drake is their coach is from D2. If I'm won a couple D2 championships, right? Brought a lot of these JUCO guys.
4 of the last 7.
Yeah,
no big deal.
Brought a lot of his D2 guys with them. I don't think Missouri's really that good. I'm gonna go with the D2 and the JUCO guys. I mean, because I don't like Missouri, but that's me being a casual I'll put college basketball on if I remember to put it on and watch some of it. But I don't know. 6-11 is where money is made on upset picks. Drake being 11 seed, coach is from D2, but they've obviously played well in their conference at 30-3 overall. I'm gonna go Drake.
Bennett Sturts is really good, and I trust Ben McCollum, so I'm going Drake.
Drake has kind of disappointed and sold on the last couple tournaments, but I agree. I like Bennett Sturts, and kind of like Chase just said, not the biggest Missouri fan. I didn't think they should have been a 6 seed personally. I know they have an insane offense, but I think I'm going. Hopefully, Drake can finally pull off the upset and not screw me over for a third year now.
Well, every team screws me over because they don't give me a perfect bracket. It's not that I'm not picking a perfect bracket. It's that they're not doing it. Like Houston, I can't stand those. I'm just kidding. We haven't even got to Houston yet. I know Carl always gets mad at me for saying I'm out on Houston, which here and there. Texas Tech and UNC.
Because you never have a reason for it. Just say it.
Man, they give me bad vibes. We'll get more into Houston later. We're gonna get into Houston later. Carl, you're asking me to give you a reason on a team that I don't watch as much college basketball as you do, but I do think Kelvin Sampson's really good. I never thought Houston had enough talent, even with Jamal Sheed, whatever. I really liked his game. But I never felt like Houston had enough talent to get it done despite their defense. I do think that's a little bit different this year. I think they're a little bit more talented and have a little bit more offense than they have in years past and still play the suffocating defense that they've been known to play. Defense only gets you so far. Eventually, you're going to put the ball in the hoop. So that's usually what happens with Houston, but I like them a lot more this year. For this one, I picked Texas Tech. JT Toppin's really good. I forgot their coach's name, but the coach is a really good coach. They play good brand of basketball. I mean, is anyone really picking UNC Willawonka?
That's crazy, but I'm going with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I do. I really like this Texas Tech team. I have them going far.
This might be a dumb question, but is JT Toppin related to Obi Toppin?
No.
He's not.
Oh, all right, well, fair enough.
it's an odd
Also,
name.
Darian Williams is he's really good too, and he's from Sac, so shout out that.
Nevada legend.
Nevada
Very
legend
good.
for the 1 year. Freshman, was it all freshman Mountain West Player of the Year?
Yeah, he was a freshman player of the year.
Is he
Grant
the reason why they
McCaslin
lost?
just poached back-to-back Mountain West freshman player of the years. So
Yeah.
Magoon Wath, who's playing right now for San Diego State,
Mm.
you're probably going to go to Texas Tech next year. So
There you go. Kansas and Arkansas.
Wasn't there something
Well-
on Twitter where people got mad about people saying that?
yeah, Jeff Grammer, who he covers the Mountain West and primarily New Mexico for like the Albuquerque Journal or something like that. He made a joke about it. San Diego State fans are like, they were up in flames about it. It's just like, it's a fucking joke, dude. Like, chill out.
I guess you can't joke in California. Good to know.
They were so mad, and it's just like, dude, like, who cares? Like, it's a joke.
They did. They care.
It's just like an observation.
Don't dismiss
Anything.
their feelings, Matt Hannafin. We have Kansas and we have Arkansas. A really good. I can't believe Hunter Dickinson. He's been, in college 10 years. He's basically had an NBA career in college, which is absurd to me. He has to declare like this. Is this his last year, Carl, of eligibility?
He's got 2 more actually.
He's got 2 more.
How?
I'm just messing.
He's just messing
Oh.
with you guys.
Well, he said it with such conviction that I believed him.
That's the
I would
point with,
believe
Hunter
Carl
Dickinson.
If he told me that something that it was I don't know. If he told me Houston was going to win a championship, I wouldn't believe him. But, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But we have Self and we have Calipari with going against each other here. I went Kansas on this one. I think both of them are not super good teams to where they're going to make a deep run regardless. But I went Kansas. I mean, Hunter Dickinson's like 5 years older than everybody else, so he's obviously he knows the game, he knows the business of college basketball. I guess I'm treating him like an NBA player at this point because, I mean, he's been in the league, he's been in college basketball so long, he should have already been probably in the league, but I don't know.
He's definitely not an NBA player, just by the way.
Yeah, I know, but he's been playing basketball for so long. You know what I mean? Like he's had a whole career. Like, his NIL money, whatever. I don't even know if he gets
future Raptors 905 legend.
Hey, I'll tell you what, they would love him though. I feel. I went Kansas. Anyone picks here?
I think I'm also going to go Kansas. I've been going back and forth. I don't know. Arkansas is tough. I know there's just so many injuries. I think Boogie Flond or whatever, I know just got back, even though I think they have a losing record with them. And then Adu Thiero, I can't remember if he was the one that's maybe questionable, or maybe it was Adu. Someone was questionable for this game on Arkansas, but regardless, I was going to go to Kansas. They just have so much talent on that team, and it's tough to build a case to be like, but they should win when it's already March, and this team should be way better than it is regardless. Like, obviously, it's not what's on paper just is not happening. But I think to get a game alone, I'll trust the coach, and I'll trust just the talent and Hunter Dickinson to at least win one.
One, hopefully.
I'll probably go Kansas, but I hate
like
myself for doing it.
So we got 3 for Kansas. Garrett, Carl, just so your opinions are heard, Kansas or Arkansas?
Yeah, I went Kansas because I mean, both of these teams have like very, very real flaws and issues. It's a fun matchup though, and Kansas they were the number 1 preseason team for a reason. Like, they have a good amount of talent on paper. I think things, but I think Kansas is at least capable of winning multiple games. I can see a world where that happens.
Mm-hmm. They get hot in March, or they're getting hot during the tournament. And then, Garrett, where'd you go here?
I would have taken Arkansas, but I don't know why. Just for the hell of it.
You fell in your nuts. That's what it is.
I'm just here to run the StreamYard and make picks off vibes. So that's all I got for you.
He's here to run the StreamYard. That's
really
doing the Lord's work.
You're doing an amazing job too.
Thanks, dude.
The vibes are great with you, Garrett. St. John's and Omaha.
This 15 seed coming up. That's a vibes team for you.
I went St. John's here. Despite St. John's sometimes lack of offense, their defense is very suffocating. They'll run a full court press the entire game, and they don't really give a shit. Rick Pitino obviously is one of the best coaches in college basketball. I would love to see if St. John's had a little bit more offense in the half court, but they get a lot of their points off turnovers. Their defense is stout, but usually the games that they do not play well in is the teams that make them play a half court offense. But if St. John's can play defense against you and they can force turnovers off you, they usually do pretty well. So I picked St. John's in this one. I don't know enough about Omaha. I know they won their conference tournament, obviously. But, that's all God, 32 points. Oh, that was in December, though. They lost 32 points to Iowa State, a healthy Iowa State. But any insight on this one? Anyone picking 15? Carl said this is the vibes pick. So, Garrett, is this up your alley?
No, because any team right now with the team name of Mavericks is cursed because of the Dallas Mavericks, just through osmosis. So,
osmosis.
I like that logic. I'm going St. John's too. I was going
Yeah.
St. John's anyway, but
That only helped you. That was a sweetener. All right, we are in the East region. We already went Duke, Mississippi State, Baylor. I went Mississippi State. I don't know if Baylor has offense for it. They haven't played Baylor kind of defense a lot this year. I feel like Mississippi State plays pretty good defense. I don't know. I pick Mississippi State.
VJ Edgecombe, I'm riding with Baylor.
Yeah. This was more of a vibes pick for me. I did watch more Baylor games than Mississippi State games, and I don't know. I think it's a pretty close one. So I ended up going Baylor though.
VJ's also a future Spur for everyone keeping count at home. Also, and Cooper Flag. They're gonna somehow get all three of those.
So is Hunter Dickinson, future Spur. You didn't even mention that.
No kidding. Motherfucker might be better than Zach Collins though. God damn it. Zach Collins drove me nuts.
Have him play 1-on-1.
Yeah, seriously though. So I got 2 for Baylor, 1 for Mississippi State. I'm the 1 for Mississippi State. Garrett, Carl, any insight, either or?
Baylor's ceiling is higher. Mississippi State's floor is definitely higher than Baylor's. When this Baylor team's bad, they're pretty bad. I was higher on Baylor in the preseason. I like what they had put together, like the roster that they constructed in the offseason. Mississippi State's just kind of like solid. Like, I don't know. They're not like anything crazy to write home about. They're just like a good team.
Yeah.
Baylor could have been a great team. They're not. But to roll with my preseason priors, I'm going with Baylor, I think.
Okay, so we'll go 3 to Baylor. Garrett, Mississippi State or Baylor, even though the majority is Baylor.
Baylor.
All right, there you go. 4-1. Okay, I'll just be the dumbass then. Oregon and Liberty in a 5-12 matchup. I picked Liberty for the sake of I was addicted to picking an upset, so I picked one. That is my reasoning for it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know anything about these teams, but it was talking to me like the Green Goblin mask, and I picked Liberty. So
I took I didn't mind it. I've picked Liberty just because it's a 5-12. It's there sometimes, but I'm big on Oregon. I just love Dana Altman. I feel like in March his teams they're usually tend to make that second weekend, and I had the Oregon upset last year with South Carolina and almost looked smart taking them to go to the Sweet 16, but then they ended up losing that double overtime game to Creighton last year. But I just think he gets his players to play the best in the tournament when it's March. And then I know that Nate Biddle, I don't know fully about Liberty. I would assume Nate Biddle's probably going to be the best player on the court, but I still think there's probably a talent discrepancy too with Oregon.
I think Trey did say something about Altman. Usually the first.
He does.
He always wins the first one. So and that's something to note as well. I mean, that's just trends. And it's really how far you think like you look into trends and shit. So really, like, for superstitious people like me, that makes a lot of sense, but also I was addicted to the upset. So Carl, who'd you get here?
I was pretty torn on this just because, like, Jackson Shelstad for Oregon has the it factor of a guard who just, like, carries his team through March. Down the stretch, he hit, like, so many big shots for Oregon. I went Liberty in this one. I kind of went against the trend a little bit because this Liberty team, like, Liberty's a very good three-point shooting team. They get up a ton of them. They slow it down too, so like they can kind of keep the game close. If you look over at, I don't know if you guys are hip to Bart Torvik, but it's an analytics site similar to KenPom. You can like filter by date and stuff just on their like homepage. Since January 1st, Oregon is the 51st best team in the country. Liberty's 55th. So that's over the last 2+ months of basketball. They've profiled fairly similarly.
Just there you go. And then Hannafin, did you give it an official pick?
I I was gonna say what Miranda said, the Dana Altman thing. I'm just riding with Oregon with that.
Oregon, and then Garrett, you went Liberty, so I had to guess that you went with Liberty on this one.
Yep.
Vibes. And you know,
it's hard to trust any Oregon athletics program when the lights are on brightest. So
yeah.
Good point.
And Garrett said, "Give me Liberty or give me death."
That's
Arizona, and I don't know why, but you know how like people say Arkansas? I always can never say this
people
other
say
team
that?
right.
Akron.
Oh, Akron. See,
Akron, Ohio.
I always say Akron. I don't know why. That's how I read it, and it's why I'm a fucking math teacher. I can't fucking read.
LeBron James, born in Akron.
Yeah, seriously. So, we have Arizona and the Zips. I'm just gonna call it the Zips because I already forgot how to say it. I picked Arizona for this matchup. It's kind of clear that Arizona lives or dies by how Caleb Love plays and his shot selection. He's either gonna. You don't think so? Or are you against it?
Oh, I just don't like watching Caleb Love play basketball.
Oh, that dude is like he's gonna throw 30 shots up a game. Dude
He's never seen a shot he hasn't liked.
He does not lose confidence when he shoots the ball. He's just like, I'm gonna make the next one. More like the Deion Waiters. He's like Deion Waiters. I'd rather be 0-30 other than 0-9 because 0-9 means I lost confidence in myself. So I still went with Arizona. I think Arizona is good enough to get by the Zips, despite Caleb Love maybe just shot chucking when he shouldn't. But I think Arizona is good enough against the Zips. So
I'm picking Arizona too.
This is a decent little 4v13 upset pick I've seen from the Zips. I'm kind of an Arizona fan. I like a lot of the West Coast, especially when it used to be Pac-12. So and Arizona was one of my favorites, and they just hurt me every tournament. Like I feel like I don't know, even since DeAndre Ayton Arizona team, like I think they were first run out to Buffalo. Like it's been bad, and so that's the one thing that always gives me pause. And now I've heard some good things about this Akron team, so I'm like, oh, let's start the upset or the heartbreak sooner and just do it in the first round. But I will still go Arizona with Caleb Love.
I was about to say, are you playing both sides? Like you're gonna pick against Arizona so like either way you'll be happy. Oh, I was right about the Zips winning or Arizona won.
No, I'd rather see Arizona win a game at least. So I like Caleb Love, and I watched Bradley. And one of the games I did watch was that overtime comeback they had. I can't remember if it was like against Iowa State or someone, but they should have lost that game. And it was Caleb Love and Bradley hitting nonstop crazy threes, and getting their team back into it. So.
And then just so Carl and Garrett heard, Arizona or Zips.
I'll always let Carl go first because Carl's the smart one here. So, if it's down to you and I, you always go ahead.
All right. I'd go Arizona as well. To Miranda's point, that I believe that was the Iowa State game because Caleb Love had like the worst game of his life up until the last 5 minutes in overtime, and then he was missing. He couldn't miss. It was crazy. He had like 6 threes in the last 5 minutes.
Never loses confidence.
And I want to say I think he was either 0 or had 1 3 in that game until that, and then didn't miss. So that was a fun one to watch though.
Yeah, it was crazy.
BYU and VCU. I went BYU. I think BYU's played better over this past month. I will say I'm ignorant to what VCU has done this year. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I know BYU has played a little bit better over the last few weeks. Igor is not bad. I feel like he controls the game really well for BYU. I'm
Jaeger Demon.
Math teacher.
I just love the scouting report being like he's not bad.
He's all right. He does good things. Has a couple flaws here and there. Just a real general kind of thing. Make sure
just
we're
a little
the
bit
ball here. But I pick BYU in this one.
This is the 11-6 that I'm circling to upset.
Like
VCU guards. Like Odom's done a really good job with that program over the last few years. That Max Shulga, like they're gonna guard, and I think that could be a problem for Jaeger. That could be a problem for Catchings. That could be a problem for Richie Saunders. Like this is my 11-6 that I'm picking as an
Well,
upset. I'm picking VC.
this is your hill that you stand on or you die on. Is you always say guard play in March. You're always a big guard play in March kind of guy.
Yes.
So I can see your reasoning on that one. Miranda, Carl Heiser, Garrett, if you want to interject, either way.
Yeah, I'll say real quick. I'm pretty torn. I think so I was curious to see what you guys thought. I also have been going 50-50 on this, but what I'm worried about is I don't have that much faith in Wisconsin. So I kind of have BYU or VCU making it to the Sweet 16 a little bit.
I do as well.
So that's why I would really prefer to get this pick correct, but I don't know. I just I would hate to, pick BYU and VCU is the one that goes, dancing to the Sweet 16. So I'm impartial. I can weigh in at the end to see. I don't want to like sway the vote already, but I can chime back in at the end.
Garrett, BYU or VCU?
I'll be curious to see how the Mormons traveled to Denver since it's so close. But I am gonna go VCU here.
Okay. So we got 2 for VCU, 1 Molink. Carl, what do you got?
I went BYU against my better judgment. So the thing with the play styles here, like BYU's very run and gun. They get up a bunch of threes. Like that's really what they prioritize. They brought over Kevin Young, who's a really highly regarded assistant with the Phoenix Suns, and he kind of continued a lot of the modern offensive principles that Mark Pope installed last year and years prior. But VCU defensively, their whole thing is just running teams off the 3-point line. Like that's really what they like to do defensively. They were the best team in the A10. There were times this year where they kind of played with their food a little bit, and you were like, yeah, I don't really know about VCU. They're good. Like they got a couple guys who can go get a bucket. The thing with BYU though, like even in spite of kind of the matchup issue, I think they might have, is they just had this run in Big 12 play that I can't get out of my head where they went crazy for like a month and a half and were just beating everybody in Big 12 play. And I've seen the ceiling for this BYU team. And it makes me like want to stick with them, even though they're running into so here's the thing, like BYU, when they played Houston, I think both times they got shredded. And VCU's not Houston, but defensively, there's a lot of similarities in what the two teams do. So that does worry me a little bit. But you said this game's in Denver?
Yep.
All right, altitude angle. We're going BYU.
Okay, now you got to bring us home, Miranda. We got 2-2, VCU and BYU.
I think for everything I've seen is VCU can exploit this team and find some success against BYU. But I go back to that point that Carl just said it's that BYU is just playing insanity to close out the season. And I know earlier I was kind of going with Colorado State because they're hot and stuff. And I still tempt. I'm going to stick with my gut then, and I didn't take the upset here. I would be BYU.
Okay, we'll go BYU. But I also agree with your point, Miranda, though, that I think no matter – I pick BYU, but if VCU wins, I feel like they both beat Wisconsin. Being here, I don't like Wisconsin. I feel like they're very streaky. They either do really well or they don't. And there's no in between. Which I'm just hoping they do really well against Montana, and then I feel like they do really bad against BYU. That's literally what I picked in my bracket. So I picked Wisconsin over Montana. Anybody? Anything different? Anyone have a 14-3 upset with Montana here?
We're going Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Carl's shaking his head. He's saying Montana's not winning this. Matt Hannafin, Garrett.
I would go Wisconsin.
Okay, good. We'll go with that. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. I picked St. Mary's. St. Mary's plays at a really slow pace. They usually try to control the game with their pace. Usually play really well defense, really good defense. It's not good grammar. Really good defense. I won't say I know enough about Vanderbilt attest to St. Mary's, but I know St. Mary's will play really slow. They will try to control the game as much as they can. I know they're still Gonzaga's bitch. I mean, as much as you can like St. Mary's, I somehow, some way, Gonzaga always has their number. So I don't know enough about Vanderbilt. Can anyone help me give me some insight on Vanderbilt?
They're kind of the opposite of St. Mary's in the sense that like they're going to play with tempo and they want to get up and down and like
Which is,
I think that plays into St. Mary's favor to an extent.
And I mean that's how I feel with the potential matchup against Alabama as well. Is that I actually have St. Mary's over Alabama in my own bracket for the same reasons. Is that teams that play at a slower pace and they play against teams with a higher pace, a higher tempo. I don't know why I feel like 75-25 works out in the slower pace. Slower pace is favorite, and it really gives fits to those up-tempo guys because you're forcing them to slow down. You're forcing them to play half-court offense at a much slower pace than they're used to, and it really disrupts their rhythm. I picked St. Mary's over Vanderbilt. Hannafin says Vanderbilt plays fast. Anything at all would help.
I did. So I do like St. Mary's, like I said, West Coast schools. It's so funny that it matches up like this again. I'm pretty sure I took St. Mary's to beat Alabama in the second or third round last year's tournament, but then St. Mary's got upset by Grand Canyon University, so kind of didn't get to see what was going to win, the outright offense or like the outright defense. I wanted to see how the styles clash, so I picked St. Mary's again over Vanderbilt. I do like the slower tempo, the defense. This team can rebound really well. And then Augusta, I like Saxon as one of the big. They have another big on that team. It's pretty good. And then Augustus, I'd have to read his last name to pronounce it. But he himself is a little bit of a bucket too, which I think this St. Mary's team and teams in the past have always needed is one guy that can score a little bit more than their kind of the way everyone contributes is the type of team St. Mary's is. So I'm still going St. Mary's in this one.
Everyone going St. Mary's, or anyone got Vanderbilt? Oh, we're going chalk? Okay, going chalk.
Congratulations to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Alabama and
entirely new roster. It's like entirely transferred. His first year head coach. He won the JMU last year. Vanderbilt's like they're good, but they're kind of what I call a power of friendship team where they're just fine. There's like one or two in every tournament, and they usually don't win. Where they're like good, like they got here, and that's kind of their big win for the season. But Randy Bennett for St. Mary's, maybe the most underrated. He's awesome. Yeah, so I went St. Mary's.
They win together and they lose together, basically for Vanderbilt. So, Alabama. I picked Alabama for this. I don't have a 15-2 upset with Robert Morris over Alabama. So, as I kind of mentioned, Nate Oates and Alabama, they like to play as fast as they can all the time, and they'll live and die by the results. The only problem is when the team plays really good defense on them usually and kind of slows them down. And even then when they're playing at a high pace, like you can see that Florida said, okay, we can do what you're doing, but better and score 104 points. Usually Alabama averages around 90 points a game. So if you can disrupt Alabama a little bit and their shots not falling, really they don't have the defense to keep themselves into games. So despite playing at a high pace, they just try to overwhelm teams with their pace. But if you can slow them down, usually that's a good way for Alabama to lose. However, I don't think Robert Morris has that. I picked Alabama.
Yeah,
I don't think Robert Morris is ready for this at all.
It might look ugly. It might be.
I think they deserve credit. Like I think they overachieved this year. They did really well. Obviously won the Horizon League, but like I don't think they're ready for this at all. I think they're gonna. This is one of those like 215s, 116s where I think they lose by like 30. I think
they're just happy to be there. They're just happy to be there.
not going to be a good game for Bobby Moe, I don't think.
We have Gonzaga and Georgia. I don't know really how good Georgia is. I know once again names Asa Newell.
Asa Newell.
Yep, first
not
round
even
pick.
close. Good. So I know he's a good player. Also a future Spur. But I don't think Georgia's really all that good. And Gonzaga, say what you want about them. I like Mark Few. I picked Gonzaga on this one.
Yeah, I've always liked the Zags. Graham Ike is a stud. They got the younger Nemhard. Hickman's a good guard. And then Khalif Battle. They share the wealth. It's obviously they've always have a high powered offense. I think they have 4 people averaging double figures, maybe more. But I think this is one of the ones where I think the Zags should have been a little lower. I think they kind of got screwed up on the seeding. I know maybe their resume overall, but they're one of the darlings according to like the rankings and all those different intrinsic little stats. But I'm going to take them over Georgia. I hate that they have to play Houston round 2.
Yeah.
Yep. Gonzaga. Love Asa Newell. Love Asa.
Zags are top 10 on Ken Palm. Let it be known.
Going Gonzaga.
Damn, and they're an A seed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they underperformed like pretty big time this year. Like I think they're just due for an insane amount of positive regression. I don't know if that means they're going to beat Houston, but I think like if you look into like regression stats, they should have won based on how they played like 4 more games than they actually did, which is crazy.
So we're looking at maybe a 5th or 6th seed, really, maybe. No, higher, lower. I don't know.
I think anything just but an 8. 8. Now I hate the 8-9 game because you have to run into the 1 seed. I would have took a 7-10. I think runs into a 2 seed. It would even be fair. It's just that the 8-9 it's like poison to me, and I just don't like those when good teams get that seeding.
Unless it's Michigan State and Tom Izzo. Usually I don't know why.
If they had gotten the 7, that matched up with like Tennessee or Michigan State, I would have been all over Gonzaga. All over Gonzaga. But it's just like it sucks that because here's the thing: when we get to the eventual Houston Gonzaga game, that's going to be a game that decides like every bracket pool based on who people have. Like things are going to end for you really quickly depending on who you pick in that game. So.
Oh, they already ended for me, and the bracket hasn't even started. Clemson and McNeese. I fell in the trap of picking Will Wade and McNeese last year. I do think Will Wade's a hell of a coach. And I'm falling into the trap again. Give me McNeese over Clemson. Clemson, I don't like everything. I've seen a lot of TikToks about Clemson and their metrics and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da-da. And I don't buy into any of it. So I just picked Will Wade and McNeese, and fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And shame on me if I get this one wrong. So.
We picked against Clemson last year, and they kicked the shit out of New Mexico.
And went on a run, I think, to the Elite 8. That killed me.
This Clemson team is better than last year's Clemson team. I'll say that. Does that mean they're going to the Elite 8? No, but they're better than that team was, I think.
I still went McNeese. I went Will Wade here. So
Will Wade's a Clemson alum. Fun fact.
Do what?
Will Wade went to Clemson.
So he knows how to beat them. We're good.
Well, no, he really only knows how to beat like Northwestern State and like
Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Islanders.
Yeah,
those are big games.
Lamar and Southeast Louisiana. Like, I don't know. I think Clemson's been pretty slept on for most of the season because everyone has been saying like, "Oh, Duke is the only good team in the ACC," which isn't true at all. I mean, they're very clearly the best, but Clemson, very good team in their own right. I don't know.
I waited a while to bring this up.
Here.
I waited a while to bring this up. North Carolina is kicking the shit out of San Diego State right now.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
I have it
course
on the
they
other screen. I've been watching it, and it has not been close for a single second.
Well,
course
they're
they are.
playing the Mountain West team, so
Well,
It's crazy.
yeah. Surprise, surprise, Chickster. Surprise, surprise.
Slander.
All right, so Clemson. Carl, you going Clemson?
Yeah.
Anybody else Clemson?
I'm going.
I do appreciate the upset pick here. I think if people want to take their shot, they can, but I'm still going Clemson. And also, this is probably maybe my last one. I'm going to have to head out now, but wish you guys the best of luck on the rest of the bracket.
Well,
I got my coin.
High Point or Purdue, real quick. High Point or Purdue?
I'm so indifferent. I have I think I have Clemson beating Purdue in the next round, but if you wanted to take a shot on I've heard hit or miss things about High Point. I think this is upset potential again if you really want to put a 13 over a 4, but I'm going to take Kaufman Red, and I'm blanking on, is it Braden Smith?
Yeah, Braden.
Arguably one of the best point guards in the country, and I am actually a big fan of the Kaufman Red. So I like the way he gets his buckets. I think he's an ethical scorer. And so I'm still going Purdue.
Okay. All right, Miranda, thank you for joining us. I guess we'll miss you later. Hopefully you like the rest of our bracket.
Yes, I can't wait to
guess we'll
check it
miss
out.
you later. It's crazy.
Alrighty.
So I went High Point because it's a cool name, and I don't like Matt Painter. So, and I don't think Purdue's played well as of late. So I'm gonna take High Point. I think the 4-13 upset potential. High Point is going to be very hit or miss. I think they're either going to win this game or they're going to get blown out. I feel like that's well in the cards. If High Point's if their shot's not falling, I don't think they're going to play really well.
Obviously. I agree, but like Purdue's lost 6 of their last 9 games. This feels to me like such a dangerous 13 over 4 that like I want to do it, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pick High Point here. But if their shot's not falling, like if they're a good offensive team, but like
yeah. So I got 2 for High Point. Garrett, Carl.
I love this High Point team a lot.
There you go.
But I'm going Purdue. I love this High Point team like a lot. They're awesome. I wanted them in the tournament last year, but they lost in the Big South tournament to Longwood. Pause. And and here's the thing though, like they got a little bit lucky even getting to this point because they in the championship game against Winthrop were down 15 in the second half and came back to win. Rode their depth, like got really hot offensively and won that game. I just don't think you can have that kind of a hole against this Purdue team and expect similar results. Purdue does have some questionable defense, especially at the rim. It's been pretty bad. But Matt Painter and this group of guards was in the national championship game last year. I will be taking them to win this game.
Fair enough. So Purdue and 2 High Point. Garrett, are you going to tie it and we're going to leave it to Matt Hannafin and the coin?
Hannafin, get that coin.
Yeah, baby.
Because I'm taking Purdue as well.
Okay,
all right,
so
what are we going with? Heads?
I think we said heads is on top, so heads would be Purdue and tails would be High Point. It cracks me up that he doesn't catch it. He just lets it fall, and then it just goes.
Tails.
We're going High Point. That's the team that Carl wanted to pick all along. That's okay.
I got to do a better job flipping that. I almost lost it for a second.
It just cracks me up because it always like rolls everywhere.
You can always hear it
like
the floor too. And Hannafin goes.
He just starts looking for it.
I was looking under my chair and I was like, shit, did I just lose this coin?
We have Illinois versus another first 4 matchup against Texas and Xavier. Texas really only has Trey Johnson, and Texas only goes as far as Trey Johnson takes him, and I don't think he'll take him far enough to beat Xavier. From there, I still picked Xavier over Illinois. In my head, Xavier already won the game, even though you have to play the game first. But Any insight? I mean, I know Texas is really just Trey Johnson, but any insight on Illinois, Xavier?
I really hope Texas wins, but I think I'm with you for Xavier. But
Trey Johnson's a hooper. That dude hoops.
Trey
Future star.
Johnson, I love Trey Johnson more than most people. But their talent around him isn't good enough. Like,
No.
the fact that they even got to this point, I think, is like a big achievement in and of itself. So I am going with Xavier to win, and I think Illinois beats Xavier.
Okay.
I think Rodney Terry is objectively a bad basketball coach for Texas. I think he is not a good coach. It's a weird group of three teams that underperformed in various ways. Like Xavier was expected to be way better than they were. Here's the key stat for Illinois. Ready for this?
Yeah.
So going into March, so I guess this omits a couple games, so forgive me for that. But Illinois this year, 16-2 when they shoot above 27% from three. They just have to be like not trash at shooting threes.
And
They're so, like on the floor for Illinois. Like all they have to do is hit just like a couple, and they're so good. Super talented team. I think regardless of who wins the Texas Xavier game, I think I'm going to go with Illinois anyway.
Garrett, going to Illinois or Xavier or Texas, either?
Illinois.
Going to Illinois. I'll be the wrong one, I guess. Kentucky and Troy. Kentucky is a fairly talented team. Offensively, they do a lot of good things offensively. Defense is kind of so-so. Obviously a better offensive team than they are defensive team. I don't know what to make of Troy. I know Troy won their conference tournament, and you could take that to the bank. But other than that, I don't know enough about Troy. I do think Kentucky is pretty balanced in their offense. Correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, as you will. But also they did decently well in the SEC, which was probably the toughest conference to play in. So I went with Kentucky.
Yeah, I got Calipari's not there, so I'm not expecting like a 14-3 upset. So I'm picking Kentucky. And Troy just cannot shoot. So
that doesn't help.
No.
So Kentucky, we're good with Kentucky here?
For now, yeah.
For now, okay. UCLA and Utah State. UCLA has just shit the bed, apparently, these last few weeks. But then we also have Mountain West team, Utah State. So do with that as you will. I still had I was thinking of Matt Hennepin when I picked Utah State, and I saw UCLA was shit in the bed, so I went Utah State here.
Yeah, this is a game I won't be watching. Truthfully,
this one is probably the best game in the whole round of 64. Honestly,
I have zero interest. I have zero investment in what happens in this game. I don't care for either of these teams.
Either of these teams looks like they're gonna get steamrolled by Tennessee, though.
I mean, I see Utah State, Mountain West. I say boo, and I pick UCLA. That's where we're going with this.
Utah State did not end the season on a positive note either.
Neither did UCLA though.
Like,
so it's gonna be the ass versus. It's gonna be the movable object and the stoppable force going at each other right now. It seems like.
I'll pick Mick Cronin for no reason. So I'll say Utah State or UCLA.
Garrett, Utah State, UCLA.
I had Utah State in my bracket.
Get the coin out, Matt Hannafin. Heads is UCLA, Utah State. Tails.
All right. I'm gonna do this in front of me. See if I.
Did Steve Alford leave this past off season? Was he the coach at UCLA last year?
No.
Heads,
UCLA.
I don't know if you can see that.
Matt Hannafin, I do not think you would lie to me. Now, I would lie to you guys to push my own agenda. That's flipping the coin.
That's wild, man.
Well, sometimes.
That's Chickster for you.
Yeah, there you go. Tennessee and Wofford. My daughter picked Wofford because she liked the dog. I think that's important to know. But Tennessee's going to win. Tennessee's defense is really good. I do have trouble with Tennessee because their offense seems very stagnant at times, and their defense will win them a lot of games. But when they're usually the games that they lose, like their offense is just it's horrible. And it seems like they just do a lot of standing around and kind of like 43 points, 51 points, like that's you just really can't have it when their offense isn't there at all. Like their defense won't be able to keep up to at least try to win a game against a tougher team. But against Wofford, I think Tennessee handles that pretty comfortably. My God, I can't read or talk or anything really.
Tennessee.
Everyone going Tennessee?
Yeah.
All right. Since we talked about most of these teams, this should go a little bit faster as we're in the round of 32. Auburn and Creighton. Now, for the sake of not picking all ones, I went Creighton here. Auburn, as good as they are, as talented as they are, I mean, they have at least the second best player in the country. They still kind of like scare me a bit to where sometimes it just seems like they're very lackluster despite all the talent on the team, and they just seem like that. Like, yeah, I don't want to play today. Now it is the NCAA tournament, but like I said, I just picked Creighton because Creighton's tried and true, and they're if anyone is gonna kind of upset this Auburn team, I can see Creighton doing it. Honestly, just for shits and giggles. Like it seems like a very Creighton thing to do. That this is like more of a vibes thing. I didn't like. I like all the other one seeds this year, except I like Auburn the least. That's how I feel about the one seeds.
I think Creighton. I think picking Creighton was the best chance at Auburn being eliminated in the round of 32. I'll say that because Creighton actually has a big who can match up with Janai Broom. I think if Auburn was to play Louisville, I think Auburn would just blitz them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Creighton's good. Creighton's good. I don't know though.
I'm going Auburn.
I think I got to take Auburn. Did drop
almost said something smart
this, but I think I'm going Auburn.
I almost said something smart. I was about to have a good night dream that I said something smart in front of Carl, and then he picked against me. Garrett, going Auburn. All right, cool.
I'm gonna take Auburn as well. I mean, they give off stinky vibes. I don't know, like something about them just doesn't like tickle my brain in the right way. That they're like
as talented as they are. I should feel more confident about them. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
With Auburn. UC San Diego and Yale. This is what I have in the round of 32. I picked UC San Diego. Like I said, they're gonna live or die by the 3, and I think they're gonna do well enough offensively to kind of just keep them ahead of Yale. Honestly, that's how I picked it. So,
if these are the teams, I would take UCSD.
Yeah. I'm with you guys.
Ole Miss and Iowa State. I would have loved Iowa State to have Keyshawn Gilbert here, like we already kind of talked about. Because then I feel a lot like I think they could be elite. They would be Ole Miss. I think they could be Marquette or Michigan State, but I think that injury is just kind of too tough for them. I did went with Chris Beard and Ole Miss on this one.
This is the game that I would not be investing any time in. But I would probably go Iowa State. I don't feel good about that though.
I don't. This game is very like, well, who's going to show up and who's not? Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel confident in that one. Carl, Garrett, any thoughts?
I'm a TJ Otzelberger believer, so I'm gonna go Iowa State. I think,
I'm glad you clarified where he came from.
Yeah, because you said it, and I thought you were just gonna stop, and I'm like,
could you imagine? Garrett,
Don't
I
know.
would have took the bullet for you. I'm like, and he plays for what team for our viewers? Because I have no idea. So, or coaches what team? I don't know. I don't fucking know. It sounds like Iowa State is going, which I'm fine with because I like Iowa State. Marquette and Michigan State. I went with Michigan State. I know Marquette's talented. I know they have Shaka Smart, but it sounds like you guys hate Tom Izzo. I like Tom Izzo. So,
Isn't Garrett a Michigan State fan? Do you like Tom Izzo?
loves him.
sort of.
Loves him.
Tom Izzo is like hard to trust this time of year. Like I know that I know he
March.
What?
It's March.
no like in deep runs is what I mean. Like in the early part of the tournament, yeah, but like for like deep runs is what I'm saying.
Well, he's gonna get past the first weekend. That's how I feel. He's getting past the turn. I asked Garrett. I was like, "What's your favorite player from Michigan State?" And he said,
I would
don't
also
need
use
one.
the term
I
fan
have
loosely,
Tom
to
Izzo."
be fair.
Huh?
I would use the term fan loosely.
No, but I'm just saying.
Oh,
You said
well,
I don't need a favorite player. I got Tom Izzo, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
I have Michigan State. Carl hates it. I know he's going Marquette.
Yeah, I'm taking Marquette.
I knew that. Matt Hanfin, what do you got? Shaka Smart or Tom Izzo?
Cam Jones versus Jace Richardson will be enjoyable for my own sake, but I will pick. I'm probably going to go Michigan State.
Michigan State. Tom Izzo lives on as Carl seeds his teeth. Okay. Florida and UConn. Florida is a buzzsaw right now. I pick Florida.
Yeah.
Dan Hurley's going to throw at least 3 tantrums. We're all going fighting. Carl Heiser's here.
Yeah.
Yep. Matt Hannafin doesn't want to. He says,
I would
"Fuck
actually,
Carl Heiser."
if this was the matchup.
Don't buy into the Mountain West. Don't do it.
That's a good
Remember.
point. Yeah, I get. Okay, we'll go Maryland.
Carl. He says, choose your words loosely. This was a vibes pick for me. I had this matchup in my bracket, Drake and Texas Tech. I know full-heartedly that Texas Tech is better than Drake, but I kind of just I wanted to see Drake win, and so I picked Drake to win. That's literally like I like the story. I like the D2. I like the JUCO. I just pick. I honestly feel like I picked against my own bracket because I think Texas Tech is gonna win. And they might win by a lot, but I went with Drake here just for the shits and giggles and vibes. So that's how I feel.
If one of your students came to you and was like, I know the right answer to this, but for the sake of the vibes, I'm going with the wrong one, what would you say?
Well, to be fair, I would say they're probably dumb, but listen. I know who I am. I'm dumb, so I went with Drake. And honestly, when I did a bracket last year, and I did one with my classes as well, and Drake also was in the tournament last year. They had Drake go in the Final Four because the college name was Drake, and this was before. I shit you not, and this was before of course the Kendrick and Drake beef. So Drake actually, I'm hip with the kids. He lost Aura now. So they're not in on Drake as much, but yeah, I know Texas Tech is the right answer, and I just picked Drake really quickly and went to the next game and act like I didn't do it. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Carl mentioned Longwood earlier. How far did your students have them going?
That one didn't click with them. I honestly thought that was another like Elite Eight type of game. And
that's crazy.
No, they don't say wood anymore for Dick. They don't. I don't think they. That's their.
Are we sure?
I don't know. I don't know. The kids are weird these days. It's brain rot, all that shit. So I went with Drake. It sounds like Texas Tech would be the smarter pick for everybody else here, though. Correct?
I actually would go Drake.
You're going Drake too. I love it. Matt Hannafin, Carl Garrett,
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Get the coin.
Get the coin out.
Yes, sir.
Jakester, you're picking against the Raiders right now.
It's the Red Raiders. We don't like red. Red
Heads.
reminds me of the Chiefs. Heads. We're going Drake.
We are going Drake. That's true.
And Matt Hennepin wouldn't lie to me.
That's
like Abraham
surprising.
Lincoln.
That coin surprisingly didn't like roll away from me or something. It just stayed right there.
Kansas and St. John.
St. John's.
I went with St. John, not John's, just St. John. The one John. I went with St. John's because their defense is suffocating. I think that it's good enough to at least beat Kansas. No objections, it sounds like. I think we just speed past that. If you guys are telling me to shut up, I'm not getting the hint. Duke and Baylor. Is anyone going Baylor?
No.
Nope.
Cool.
No.
Duke. For the same reasons I mentioned earlier, I don't like Arizona because of Caleb Love and his shot chucking. I went with Liberty here to put Liberty in the Sweet 16. That was my. They're gonna live or die by Caleb Love, and they're eventually going to die by him. And I just said, let's get it done over as soon as possible and do it in the second game of the first week.
I mean, they're not live and die that.
Yeah, they're live and die because I said that, Carl.
Hey, Caleb Love thinks they're gonna live and die by him, but
Yeah, that's the time. That's where it gets scary is when Caleb Love decides it's Caleb Love time because you could
that's all the time.
go in really any direction from there.
They might not even beat the Zips. We don't even know if they beat the Zips.
They're gonna beat the Zips.
All right, I know. All right. I went with Liberty. Give me Liberty, give me death. I went with Liberty. Carl, are you going Arizona here?
I don't know.
I'll go Liberty. Why not?
Two Liberties.
I'll abstain just so we can move Liberty through.
All right.
BYU and Wisconsin. Carl talked about BYU's running gun, and I listen very closely to him whenever Carl talks about college basketball because he's knowledgeable, and not that Matt Hannafin's not either, but this is Carl Heyer's bread and butter too, and then Matt Hannafin, he helps me out in the NBA hoops, so I went with BYU here. I try to listen to Carl Heiser when he talks.
I don't feel good about picking either team, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, so would you go BYU or VCU over Wisconsin, or you're not sure about either one of them beating?
No, it's just like once I have to look and it's these two teams playing each other, I just don't know what I'm gonna do.
You're there for just vibes.
Like I kind of like BYU over Wisconsin, but I don't even know if BYU is gonna be here in the first place, and that I don't know. I don't really know what direction I'm gonna go here, so.
I'd probably go BYU.
BYU, Garrett.
I would also vote BYU.
This is the type of game that could turn into like a 25-point blowout in either direction, and I wouldn't be shocked by that.
So you think it's gonna be super close or just a blowout?
I mean, I don't know. I could see either team winning by 25.
Fair enough. We got 3 for BYU and then 1 Moeling, so we'll just go with BYU. I went St. Mary's over Alabama for the same reason for St. Mary's over Vanderbilt. The pace, St. Mary's, I feel like they're going to try to control the pace against Alabama, give Alabama rhythm fits. I went with St. Mary's.
I'd probably lean Bama, but I don't hate that logic if you're going to go St. Mary's.
That was my logic. Carl or Garrett, St. Mary's or Alabama? We'll say Matt Hennepin picks Alabama for right now, and he could change his mind if he wants to.
I would take Alabama hesitantly.
It's a very hesitant game.
I think I go Bama.
We'll go. Okay, Bama goes here again over St. Mary's. Bama does not feel fazed by St. Mary's. Florida and Maryland. Carl, would you like to lead this one?
We still have the Midwest to do.
I will shut the fuck up then and do Houston and Gonzaga. I just wanted to hear Carl's opinion on Maryland. Okay. Houston, I picked Houston. I have Houston in the Final Four. I am more in on them this year, and Carl is making sure he keeps his receipts on me and my Houston opinions. I was like, I saw the notification from Slag in the college hoops, and it said Chickster. I was like, oh fuck, what did I say now? Carl Heiser, like he brought something. It's like, oh damn it. So I was like, fuck. But I picked Houston over Gonzaga. I don't think. I mean, they do have Ryan Nembhard, but I think Houston's a little bit more talented this year, and their defense is suffocating. I think they have more offense this year too, better than years past. It felt like last year they just had Jamal Sheed and they had others, but nothing. I think they're more balanced this year, as well as just having a better offense. So I picked Houston.
I'd probably give me Houston. Give me Houston.
2 for Houston. Anyone picking Gonzaga? Picking the Zags?
I would put in a vote for Gonzaga.
Evie picked Gonzaga to go to the Final Four. So that'll tell you what you need to know. And if her bracket's better than mine, I might not make a bracket anymore. So you know, she obviously knows more than I do at this point. She asked me to put basketball on for her. I'm like, raising you right.
Carla, we get in the coin, or are you taking Houston?
I think when it comes to my actual bracket, I'm probably going to take Houston because they've actually looked the part this season more consistently. But in terms of how I actually feel about this game, I think it's only right that we go to the coin to decide it.
Go to the coin.
The coin.
Let's go, Matt Hanifin. Heads is Houston. Tails is Gonzaga.
Oh, that flipped into a cup.
I was about to say that landed in a mug.
And it went heads.
There you go, heads. That was.
I was impressive. I forgot I had that cup behind my laptop.
I just can't believe. I know we've only done 4 coin tosses so far, and we did actually get a tails, but this one landed in a cup, and we're somehow still getting heads.
It's unbelievable.
Like, it's ridiculous.
He's nasty with it.
It makes me think that Hanifin kept the same coin from last year. That's the only thing I can imagine.
I'm in a different location, so the odds of that happening are.
You need to frame the coin, honestly, Hanifin. Clemson and High Point. It sounds like, Carl, you sound like you're more in on Clemson this year. And you were ready to pick Purdue over High Point. So I'm guessing you're going Clemson here.
Yeah, I would. In this spot, I would go Clemson, and that's going to be my last one. I got to log off and work on some stuff, but I'll see you guys.
Ah, good. Now we can make Houston lose in the next round.
Yeah.
I had McNeese over High Point. So I think naturally I'm just gonna go Clemson over High Point because I think Clemson's gonna be High Point if this is what we get.
I think it's Clemson too.
There you have it.
Illinois and Kentucky. I know Illinois has Cash Money Paraka.
Oh my God, Kasparis Yakachonis.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I mean, that's basically what he said.
Huh?
That's basically what you said.
That's exactly what I said.
Cash money
Paraka.
I mean, that's what I heard. I don't understand the issue.
Thank you. God, someone's listening to me out here. I picked Kentucky. I had Kentucky over Xavier for my bracket. So naturally, I'll take Kentucky over Illinois.
I would probably lean Kentucky too.
I had Utah State over UCLA, and I definitely had Tennessee over both of those teams. So I picked Tennessee here.
Yep. That's what I got.
Cool. Going back to the top. If we get Auburn and UC San Diego, I'm still going to go Auburn here. I had Creighton over UC San Diego, but I'll go Auburn here over UC San Diego. Garrett, same thing. Good.
Well, I thought I heard Hanifin pick Auburn as well. So.
I just want to get your opinion because your opinion matters to us too.
I would probably take Auburn, I suppose. Again, They just feel kind of stinky.
Yeah. Scroll down. Are we doing Duke and Liberty? You just want to do cross? Is that what you're doing? Or are you going? I don't know.
We could do either. It doesn't matter.
We're already in here. We'll just do this one.
Duke.
Yep.
Liberty's Cinderella run ends here. And then I have Michigan State. I'm kind of glad Carl's not here because I feel like he would pick Iowa State just because Tom Izzo hate. But I have Michigan State in my Final Four.
Yeah.
Do I? Yes. No. Maybe. No, I don't. Yes. I can't remember. I picked Michigan State here.
I would probably go Michigan State as well, especially if Gilbert's still out. I mean, they said he's out for the tournament, but
yeah, they said he's out. Which that's what I was because if Iowa State was going to get him back at some point,
yeah,
I would still be in on Iowa State, but he's not coming back. It doesn't
me too.
Seem like. BYU and Alabama. I picked B. What didn't we already do that one?
No.
Oh, we did St. Mary's and Alabama. That's what. If BYU and Alabama is the game, Alabama plays BYU's game better than they do, and so I mean, if we're gonna get a shootout, Alabama's gonna win in a shootout.
Yeah.
So, I have Alabama on this one.
Agreed.
And then we have Florida and Maryland. I'm glad this is the real reason why Carl got off. It's because we're going to have to pick against Florida or pick against Maryland, and he didn't want to see it. Florida, like I said, is a buzzsaw right now. They might be the best team in the country. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. Florida beats Maryland. I don't think any objections. No. Okay. And we're zooming through this shit now. Houston and Clemson. I'm picking Houston. I'm picking Houston.
Oh man, come on.
I'm picking Houston. I actually think Houston's. I don't get fraud vibes from Houston. I feel like if there's a year that they could do it, this would be a really good year for them to do it.
You say that now.
But I tell you what, if Houston loses, then like the second round, never again. I don't care how they could have.
I have a feeling if this matchup ends up being Houston and High Point, Chickster's going to put in the slack that he's taking High Point.
No, I have Houston in my Final Four.
You would bet High Point.
You would bet High Point,
and a half or whatever the fuck.
I had McNeese over High Point.
You would do it. You would do it.
It doesn't matter if you pick McNeese or not, but in real life, if High Point ends up there, it's going to happen.
If Houston plays bad the first couple games, I might, for my own agenda, and just be like, yeah. But
for your own agenda,
to kind of sometimes I like to. I feel like all of you guys have certain bait that you'll bite it onto, and Carl Heiser his is Houston. If I get him to bite on Houston, that's how I know I win. And then like Matt Hannafin, he just calls out my bait now. It's not even fun anymore.
You don't ever try to bait me though. I don't really get bait from anyone. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
now it's my life mission.
There's the bait to bait you.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, listen, you shit on JJ McCarthy like every other day, or at least it feels like every other day.
Is that your guy? Do you like?
I like much of a choice now.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah.
Really, I was doing that.
Who
for
knows
James
if Rodgers
because it would get James Herrick so mad when I did it.
Oh,
that is true.
Okay.
It was awesome. I was like, man, I was like, I don't even think he throws the ball that much. And James Herrick got mad, and I was like, oh, I got to roll with this.
I think every once in a while I'll latch on to bait. Like I will just instinctively do it, and then I'm like, wait, that was bait. Like right after I hit send. Yep. And so then like I think that happens every once in a while. So you keep me on my toes.
You're getting better at it, and you're like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I guess.
Again,
whatever.
No one ever tries to bait me, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying trying to bait me all the time is a bad thing. I'm just.
I think Trey thinks I'm a dumbass sometimes because he'll react to every outlandish shit that I say, and then he'll just say, he's like, "What are you talking?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, man. That was I threw you a slow pitch, man. Like that. Come on."
Hannafin, I'm gonna
be like, he's a dumbass. He probably believes this shit too.
I'm gonna divert to you on this one. Chickster said the other day, I think we were like in a voice call or something like that, that almost every single year for the like last X amount of years, there's at least been a 7 seed in the Final Four. Is that like? Do you remember like how many years that's been, or is that? Do I have the seeding right?
It was.
I didn't know that was
the last few years, except for 2019, I think.
Let me hold on. I'm gonna do like a quick Google search on
But then
this.
again,
I only asked that because I know that we have an 11 seed up here, but we had a 6 seed in BYU that I thought might have been able to give Alabama fits and kind of continue that trend, because I don't think Drake's the team to beat St. John's.
but guys, I'm not gonna hold you. Y'all know I can't read, so I might have misread it. I'm not gonna hold you. See
10
this?
of the past 11 Final Fours to feature a 7 seed or higher.
So 10 of the last 11 have had a 7. Okay.
Well,
But I don't think I,
7 seed or higher. Isn't that just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Is that what?
No, I think 7 or higher is like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So I was like, that
'Cause
doesn't make much sense.
Because wasn't it 2 years ago? Was it San Diego State that was like a 9 seed or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were a high seed.
Well,
Yeah.
that San Diego State and then that Miami, that was
Yeah,
a really fun.
Miami was like a double-digit seed, weren't they?
Florida
that was a-
Atlantic was
Florida
like a 5
Atlantic as
seed or
well,
some
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
That was a fun Final Four because it was just no, like
Yeah,
you know,
UConn was a 4, I think. Like,
yeah. I thought they were a 3.
either way, they were. I know they weren't a top 2 seed.
Yeah, but I don't get that kind of vibe this year. But then again, I don't know as
It's
much
March,
as
man. Like,
yeah, it's March. Kentucky and Tennessee. I mentioned earlier how Tennessee's offense can be very we'll call it occasional, where they just don't have it. I pick Kentucky. I think Kentucky's offense is good enough that Tennessee is going to have to put points on the board to keep up with them, and I don't think they'll be able to. So I picked against Tennessee and picked Kentucky on this one.
I'm gonna see what the last couple of matchups have looked like because this is an SEC game.
Garrett, I think
Tennessee
you
beat Kentucky twice. Once 78-73, and then the other 75-64.
Yeah, but they haven't played in March, so we're good.
Well, I was gonna say it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a single season, especially when you're like 2 really good teams. Like it's one thing if it's a good team versus a dog shit team, but it's 2 of the best teams in the SEC against one another. So based on that alone, I'm gonna go Kentucky because I just think it's so hard to beat a team 3 times in a single season. Like really, I think it would be a dogfight either way because it's like both teams know what each other's running. Because again, you've seen each other twice, you kind of know what you're walking into. But I think Kentucky would win just based on the logic of like I think at some point they would have to lose to Tennessee, and if Tennessee wins, credit to them for beating them 3 times in a single season.
Boo, Tennessee. This is where Drake dreams die. To St. John's. St. John, their defense is going to suffocate Drake.
Wait, I had that backwards. Kentucky beat Tennessee.
I didn't want to like give
that,
you
okay.
the
I mixed that up. I apologize.
Yeah,
I was reading it wrong.
That's why I was confused because I was gonna take Tennessee for the logic you were giving, and I'm like, well, I'm taking Kentucky, and I'm like, okay.
Well, who's taking what then?
So no, I'll go Tennessee instead. That's my own fault.
All right, I guess. Drake and St. John's. St. John's defense will still carry them over a win against Drake. Really, I feel like this should be a Texas Tech and St. John's matchup, which this could be a matchup where Texas Tech beats Drake and then beats St. John's. I don't think that's so outlandish that Tech could do that. So I have St. John's over Drake, though.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been holding on to this stat for a minute now. Rick Pitino is second among active coaches in, I believe it's winning percentage in the tournament at 74%. He's 53-18. So the dude's a winner in March.
That's crazy.
He wins in March for sure.
Look at you, Garrett. I didn't know that. That's wild.
Thank you.
All right, is this Final Four? We're Elite Eight. Elite Eight, cool. Auburn or Michigan State?
Auburn.
You know where I'm leaning.
I went Michigan State. I'm saying Tom Izzo has is back in his prime. Duke and Alabama.
One really quickly, one thing we haven't really mentioned at all is like, do we know that Cooper Flagg's going to be healthy enough to like get through this entire tournament on a deep run since he's coming off with a sprained ankle?
My thing is
Like that's going to play a factor into it. I know that he's not the entire team, just Duke's got a good roster, but Cooper Flagg's the engine of that team.
What I like about picking Duke this far is that I don't think their draw is hard. I think they might have got a little bit lucky with their draw and teams that they're gonna have to play, that they can win without Cooper Flag, or Cooper Flag can play minimal minutes, to where when we get a Duke and Alabama matchup, or for me it was like a Duke and BYU matchup or something along those lines, that he will be healthy enough and he will be good to play.
Yeah.
That was my logic behind kind of going, because I don't think their region was very extensive, for lack of a better term. I think, but when they have a Duke and Alabama, yeah, I'm expecting Cooper Flag to be healthy enough to play meaningful minutes and not be kind of agitated by an injury. You might see a little bit slower in his game, but I still think Duke and Cooper Flag are going to be good. And as you mentioned, Duke's roster is, and they've done fine without him. Obviously not. When I say fine, they don't win a championship without Cooper Flag, and correct. I think that. But they're I feel like they're still primed for a deep run even without Cooper Flag. So, yeah. So I have Duke in this one.
We've gotten to the point in the tournament to where it's like I think Duke's inexperience kind of works against them.
Yep.
Because they've never had to do something like this. But I would still probably lean Duke. Like Alabama's, I think, a pretty experienced team, and so I think just them somewhat being together over the last several years and making
matters in March too.
Say that again.
Experience matters in March.
Yeah, like
those older teams usually do better.
Like it to me, the worry I have with Duke is like they weren't in a very, or at least it was a down year for the ACC, as we kind of talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what happens when they get punched in the mouth? Yeah. Like hard against one of these teams who are hot or whatever the case is. Like, not saying it would happen in this round or like the Sweet 16 or even like the round of 32 or something like that. But like, I just wonder how they would respond even with a compromised Cooper Flag. Like, yeah, that's just one thing I'm trying to keep in the back of my mind, because it's like this team is very, very young and they have a shit ton of freshmen that they're going to have to rely on, like their top 6-7 guys outside of Tyrese Proctor. And so that's where it's like, I would actually, maybe my real bracket when I do this, I'll pick Bama if I have Bama advancing this far. But for the sake of, I think we can go Duke here.
I think when you talk about the young freshman, I think when Cooper Flag is playing, I think Cooper Flag has enough mental resilience to not be affected by, but I don't know about those other guys.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think, because I've never seen like Cooper Flag kind of get flustered of any kind. He always seems like he's in control of the game. He never lets the game get too big. Like he always seems like he's mentally tough. Future Spur, by the way. We have,
if that happens, what the fuck? Like, if that happens, like, come on.
You kind of put me on this, but I really like Malak.
Malawach.
Not even close. Good.
Come on, Malawach.
Yeah, because really the Spurs need a center that
he's so big.
Yeah, but like what it looks like, they're playing Wemby out in space, and he will be able to be a rim runner for the Spurs, which would be disgusting, and their defense would be nasty. That's kind of like my sleeper dark horse. I hope if the Spurs don't get Cooper Flag. Anyway,
for
Florida,
what it's
St.
worth,
John's,
real quick, we've gone completely chalk in the Elite Eight. It's 1s versus 2s.
It happens.
I think maybe I'd have to look this up. And Garrett just shared the trend about the 7-seed or higher being in the Final Four, but it feels like to me like most years it's still like a lot of 1s and 2s in the Final Four. Like we pick upsets all around, but I think it'll like play itself out to where there's 1s and 2s, but
I don't
maybe not.
see a 7 or higher seed that I'm like, oh yeah, like these guys. Like I feel like it's the talent and the teams are a little bit more top heavy this year.
The last time that the NCAA tournament was all chalk in the Elite Eight was 2008.
Which was all ones, right?
Well, in the Elite Eight, it was all 1s and
Oh.
2s, and yes, your Final Four were all 1s. It was Kansas, Duke, Memphis, and Michigan State.
Yeah, we can't do that.
No.
We have to buck the trend somewhere.
Okay, yeah, we got to find a 2 to win here.
Well, it's not gonna be Florida. It's not gonna be St. John's over Florida.
Tennessee, baby, Houston. This is where it comes in.
No, I don't even like Tennessee. Florida, I have Florida over St. John's. St. John's, as good as their defense is, they don't have the offense. They don't to keep up with this Florida team. They will give Florida fits, but Florida will prevail. Florida's going to make St. John's feel uncomfortable where they're going to have to – they can't put points on the board like Florida can. So I have Florida.
For what it's worth, before Hannafin gives his pick, I'm going to force him to be the tiebreaker because I'm going to take St. John's. And this was before the whole chalk conversation or whatever. I would have taken St. John's over Florida regardless.
What you going to do?
I'll go with St. John's. I don't like it at all. I don't feel comfortable about it.
Guys, that wasn't the one to break the trend.
We can also break the trend with Houston.
To be fair, I am also taking Tennessee over Houston.
I'm taking Houston. I like Houston more than Tennessee. I don't even like Tennessee over Kentucky.
We have a 2 in the Final Four. We have Michigan State over Auburn.
Well, now we got 2 St. 2s.
I mean, I'm still taking Tennessee, but
I think it's been like a massive year for St. John's, and I just think they'll continue to ride the wave in terms of like how much they've been hyped after the disaster that last year was. I'll pick Tennessee here.
When I'm the Houston believer, there's a problem here. Michigan State or St. John's?
You sound so dejected.
This is such a terrible Final Four matchup. Just like
this game might be 40 points.
It like first to 30 wins the game.
Like whatever the over under is, I'm taking the under on this game.
Right.
I don't care if it's set at like 126. Like I'm probably gonna take the under.
It would never be set that high.
I think Michigan State has a better roster, but I think St. John's defense is better, and I think they're mentally tougher. I'll go St. John's.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that appeases Carl because we picked against Tom Izzo finally. And then I have Duke. I have Duke all the way.
I also have Duke here as well, for what it's worth.
I'll pick Duke here. But I'll pick St. John's to beat Duke. Just because it's like I don't want to be like everyone else who picks Duke to win the title.
I've never wanted to conform to society, but I have Duke here.
I am also going to conform, I think, and I'm gonna be a follower, not a leader. I'm gonna take Duke.
To be fair, what I had Duke over Florida. I had Duke over Florida. And then I had Houston in the Final Four, and I had Michigan State in the Final Four.
I just think so many people are going to go Duke. And so it's like
even with the Cooper Flag thing, though, do you think like maybe Yeah. I mean, I did. So, I mean, I'm just asking.
Now I'm curious.
And like,
my Final
I'm
Four
not going to
is
say
this
it's
one.
like wrong in the sense to where like I could see Duke winning it, even though I just talked about the lack of experience. Like I see a world where Duke wins it, but I just think so many people are going to gravitate to that to where I kind of want to, steer clear.
In my bracket, I had 3 of these 4 teams. My only team that I had different was Kentucky over Tennessee. And my Final Four was Michigan State and Duke.
So why'd you pick Tennessee over Kentucky earlier.
Well,
For the
because we
hell of
did
it.
the trend where it was.
Yeah,
Vibes.
yeah, vibes. I'm here for vibe picks only, for the most part. I don't want to completely fuck up our bracket, but
Is there all right? Anything we hate? Last thoughts? Anything we hate or really like? I hate Tennessee in the Final Four. I'll say that.
my bold prediction is that Auburn does not make it to the Elite Eight.
I that's where I have Creighton beating Auburn. That's my
I wouldn't be shocked if Auburn was a second round exit, but I also wouldn't be shocked if Auburn made it to the Final Four. So, but I'm predicting that they're not going to make it to the Elite Eight.
Auburn is talented enough that they should make the Final Four. They just won't.
They should. Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's the bracket, guys. That's it. I don't know how well we did last year. We need to start keeping track of how well we did last year.
Listen,
how-
man,
how-
we had like Mountain West teams going to the Elite Eight. It cannot be.
Oh, yeah,
There's no
we did
chance
better
it
than
was
that
good.
then. We
Not a chance.
Couldn't have been
We're
good,
better
no.
than that then. Well, guys, even though if you're still with us 2 hours later, if you went to the end to see what we had, good on you. The round of 64 takes forever, but usually we start flying through after we talked about pretty much every team. But we have Duke over St. John's, and then we have Duke, Tennessee, Michigan State, and St. John's in the Final Four. We have Michigan State over Auburn. So Auburn made the Elite Eight. We had Florida in the Elite Eight. We had Alabama in the Elite Eight, and we had Kentucky in the Elite Eight, or Houston in the Elite Eight as well. I had Houston in my Final Four. They did not agree. Whatever.
Go
yeah,
against the
that's
grain,
it.
man. It's March.
It's March. So good luck to everyone that participates. If you like our bracket, just subscribe. I mean, what are you doing? When we get
Subscribe
Carl
anyway.
Heiser in here, you're getting the best college basketball content. When you get Matt Hannafin in here, you're going to get some really good basketball knowledge regardless. NBA stuff, NBA draft stuff, and college stuff. He watches a lot of college basketball for those NBA draft guys in NBA.
And shout out Anthony Miranda as well. I know we had a dip early, but the dude, he kind of explained it a little bit. He exemplified it last year and this year too. Like he knows a little bit of ball as well.
He be watching basketball. He doesn't tell anyone, but he's been watching it. Like he knows the players.
So I just wanted to make sure Miranda got his shout out as well.
Those three know more than me about college basketball. That's for sure. I know that. And Garrett, sometimes.
I'm just here for vibes, man.
Here for vibes. I'm just surprised you found a hat that fits your head. And I had to get one. In there.
Wrap it up.
What?
Wrap it up.
I am. Okay. If you like our content, like and subscribe on the channel. Check out vendettasportsmedia.com. We have a lot of NBA stuff. Still working on trying to get some more college basketball stuff. NFL guys, if you're a big NFL guy, we've got a lot of NFL draft stuff going. That's it. We'll get out of here. It's been 2 hours, whatever. Bye, guys. Love y'all.